Welcome, Fresh Tracker. Thank you for joining again today. This is our second video in our series on discovering the next step to creating your fresh tracks. Today we're going to talk about your energy and what that is and why it's important. My belief is that it's actually a very important factor in you creating fresh tracks and you on your journey discovering how to trust yourself again. So we're going to start with a couple just truths, and one is that I'm going to ask you to think about and what does it mean to you to take 100% responsibility for everything in your life. What does that mean to you, and how can you do that? Do you believe that that's even something you should do? So taking 100% responsibility for your life, I'm going to ask you not to judge it, first of all, but the results that you have, good, bad, wherever you're at right now, own it. Just this is your life. No one else is responsible for it but you. And that's the good, wonderful, amazing stuff, as well as things that you want to change or you've been struggling to change. So what does this mean? 100% responsibility means no blaming your parents, no blaming your job that you got fired from or that you were laid off from, no blaming your kids for things that you are, for anything, things you can't do, no blaming your spouse, no blaming the government or the IRS, none of that, no blaming. You just have own it. And what does that do? It takes the responsibility, the ownership of your life from outside you, from out here, it brings it in. Because this is your life. We're here today talking about energy. Bring it in, own it. You're responsible for it. And with that said, so play, be aware, choose to see where you might be using really their excuses on why you aren't doing something or why you're in a place that you're at. Don't blame, don't give reasons, just own it and say, okay, how can I change? What's my next step to changing this situation? And with that belief out there, taking 100% responsibility, I invite you to play with the fact that thoughts are things. Like, do you believe that thoughts are things? That your thoughts are what lead you to creating and manifesting your life? Thoughts are things. It's actually kind of a simple statement, yet it's all powerful. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's your job to do daily affirmations and monitor every word and every thought you have. No, that's not what we're about today. That's not what we're doing. I just want you to acknowledge that thoughts are things, that it starts with things in your life start with the thoughts, and that leads to feelings and emotions. We're vibratory beings. We vibrate away. We attract things based on that. We feel things. We take action based on thoughts, based on what we're feeling. We take action and we don't take action based on our thoughts. Sometimes that's even the more powerful tool, is not taking action has led us to places. Maybe we do want to be there, maybe we don't. But it starts with the thoughts. It starts with the thoughts. So taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life, believing, understanding that thoughts are things. And if you can agree to that, that allows you to be in a place of power and to have this conversation about energy and the stuff that we have to work with. In my book, Trust Your Next Step, Creating the Confidence to Cut Fresh Tracks, Chapter 5, I devote the entire chapter to discussing this energy. It's called Understanding the Stuff You Have to Work With. What is this? How do thoughts become things? Like, wouldn't it be great to know that, to kind of understand how does this work? Like, it's a natural law, just like if you plant a seed in the ground and you water it and pull the weeds and it's got the right amount of sunlight and moisture, it's going to grow into whatever seed you plant. Thoughts work the same way. And what is this stuff? So it's called many things. It's the energy. It's called universal law. It's called principle. You might have heard of, there's a lot of things called God. Some people call it God. It's whatever. It's Fred. Call it what you want. For you to create your fresh tracks and live your life on purpose and with intention, it's important that you understand what this is and how it works, because you're using it all the time. If you keep manifesting things in your life you don't want, these laws are still working. Principle is still working. And the beautiful thing about it is if you're manifesting things you don't want, you can change it. If you're manifesting things you do want in your life, all the wonderful things and beautiful things in your life, you're doing that too, because thoughts are things. There's this amazing statement, I guess, that I learned. First, it was probably 2 years ago, and it was so impactful to me. I literally stopped and sat with it for a couple nights and just played with, what does this mean? The statement is, principle is not bound by precedent, and it was made by a man named Thomas Troward back in the late 1800s. He was a teacher, and he was one of the founders of the New Thought movement way back, in the 1800s. But that statement, principle is not bound by precedent. What does that mean? And I picked it apart because I like words, and that's what I do. So precedent means just because something has happened before over and over again doesn't mean that it can't be different today. So an example, let's say in your business you've always made $500 a day. That doesn't mean that today you're going to make $500. You can't make more. That's not it. It's saying that today is its own new day. It doesn't matter what happened all those other days. Today I can make $5,000 a day. This applies to anything. It doesn't have to be money. It could be relationships. You can be in this space of every relationship you've had, every partnership has been a complete disaster. Over and over again, you keep having these disastrous relationships. That doesn't mean that you are doomed to always have disastrous relationships. No, just because the past, this is what happened, this time is its newest day, its newest opportunity, and it is not based on precedent. So that's that word. And intellectually, I think most of us can get that. So the next fun part is principle. Principle is not bound by precedent. What does principle mean? And to me, that's fun. And this, my friends, this is your homework for today and for the rest of your life, is learn what is principle. What is this stuff? And I do believe it's a lifelong journey. It's universal law. How does it work? What is it? How do I work with this stuff? So my belief is that I'm going to call it universal law. Energy, there you can call it a lot of things. Universal law is it's like nature. It works consistently and in the same manner for everyone. Your job is to learn how to play with it. Look, it's really simple. It's not different for Sally and different for Joey, and then I have my own laws. No, we all have different backgrounds and different beliefs, and we all play with it in a different way just because we're all different, yet the law itself is the same. So your job is to learn what it is and how do I play with it. It's like electricity. Electricity works. You line and I'm not an electrician, the cords are lined up correctly, and you flip the light switch and the lights go on. Electricity works. Anyone can go flip that light switch and it works. You can be short, tall, black, purple, green, yellow, anything. The dog could flip the light switch on and it would work, because the law is that's how electricity works. The law that we manifest life with, principle, works the same way. So if you're taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life, if you believe that empowering statement that thoughts are things, and you have an understanding of how does that work, universal law, what is that, what is principle, you can change, you can create with intention, you can create your fresh tracks. So In my book, Trust Your Next Step, Creating the Confidence to Cut Fresh Tracks, I teach on universal law. I have a chapter 5. I go dig into it really deeply because I believe it's important that we all understand that. And I have broken it into 12 separate laws just so we can look at it in different ways. You may have heard of the law of attraction is one. I have the law of success, the law of, there's a whole bunch of them, and it's all one energy. Nature works in its own way. It's one thing, yet if you look at it and play from it this way, it feels different than if you look at it and play with it this way. So I present it in different ways so you can see, where am I think I'm doing one thing, but the results are way over here. So it lets you look at, what are you really doing, and how can you adjust? How can you play with intention? Which is really a fun, beautiful way to go through life and to have that sense of power and learn to really trust yourself as you create fresh tracks. So if you're interested in the book, you can. It's available at your local bookstore. It's available on Amazon. It's on the website, trustyournextstep.com, on my website. And for those of you who like to play and journal and look at things a little deeper, there is a workbook that goes with it, and we play with each of the laws, and the workbook is one of the exercises, is really digging in personally. If that's something you're interested in, it is available. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today's training, today's video, and I encourage you, reach out to me if you have questions or you're struggling in an area. My email is kelly@kellyrobbins.net. I'm happy to schedule time with you or explore different ways to do different things, work with me or not. There's always resources for those who are true seekers. So feel free to reach out. And with that, I encourage you to have a great rest of the day, and let's go cut some fresh tracks.